Assalamu alaikum. In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to write about future predictions as a part of the tasks you might be required to do in academic IELTS writing task 1. Let's watch. Okay, here's the first exercise. The structure will plus the infinitive or a range of prediction verbs are used to talk about future statistics. Complete the sentences here from 1 to 4 with the words will or prediction or predicted. So all you have to do is to read these sentences and put the words will or prediction or predicted in the right places. I'll give you some time and then I'm going to show you the answers. Okay, let's take a look at the correct answers. The number of solar-powered buildings will increase to 500 million in 2030. It's predicted that the number of solar-powered buildings will increase in the future. The prediction is that the number of buildings powered by solar energy will increase. The number is predicted to increase to 500 million in 2030. All of these are various ways to talk about the future predictions. Okay, let's do the same thing. In this exercise, all you have to do is to complete the sentences with the correct form of the verbs. We have a number of verbs that might be used to give the same meaning as predict, like expect, forecast, project, set, anticipate. So this exercise is a good opportunity for you to learn the meanings of these verbs and try to use them sometimes instead of the verb predict. Take your time. In a few seconds, I'm going to show you the correct answers. Let's watch. So it's predicted that in 2030, solar energy will provide energy for 500 million buildings worldwide. Will provide. So here we say is predicted, but here we say will provide. In 2030, about 25 million buildings are expected to receive energy from wind power. Not will be expected, of course not. They are expected now to receive energy in the future. In the same way here, you say is predicted now that it will provide energy in the future. In 2030, much more energy to power buildings will come. That's the future from solar energy compared to wind power. In the future, solar energy is forecasted now, because forecasted means predicted or expected, to be a much greater source of energy than wind power. In the future, wind power isn't expected now to be as great a source of power as solar energy. In years to come, it's projected that the wind power will be. So you project now that something will be a less important source of energy than solar energy. Solar energy is set, also set, has the same meaning here in the situation as predict, to assume greater importance as a source of energy in the future. In 2030, it's anticipated that solar energy and wind power will provide approximately the same amount of energy. Now, what you need to do is to look at these sentences one more time and pick out all the verbs that have the same meaning as predict. Write them down, all the verbs that can provide the same meaning as predict. Of course, not all the underlying verbs have the same meaning as predict. For example, come, of course, doesn't mean predict. So you need to write a list of all the verbs that have the same meaning as predict. These verbs can be used instead of the verb predict if you don't want to keep repeating yourself. So the first one is expect, like this example. In 2030, about 25 million buildings are expected to receive energy from wind power. That's how you use it. Forecast. In the future, solar energy is forecasted to be a much greater source of energy than wind power. Project. In years to come, it's projected that wind power will be a less important source of energy than solar energy. Set. Solar energy is said to assume greater importance as a source of energy in the future. Anticipate. In 2030, it's anticipated that solar energy and wind power each will provide approximately the same amount of energy. And finally, of course, we have predict. It's predicted that in 2030, solar energy will provide energy for 500 million buildings worldwide. Okay, here is a sample essay. What you need to do is to write an essay about these pie charts. The charts below give information on the ages of the populations of Yemen and Italy in 2000 and projections for 2050. So first, you're going to start with an introduction. In this introduction, you're going to paraphrase the question, this question right here. And then you're going to write an overall paragraph. In this overall paragraph, you're going to try to address the most prominent features here, the changes. Here we have Yemen in 2000 and projections for 2050, and Italy, the same, 2000 and expectations for what's going to happen in 2050. So you write an overall paragraph, and then you're going to write body paragraphs in which you illustrate the information you mentioned in the overall paragraph. I suggest for the body paragraphs that you devote one paragraph for Yemen and another paragraph for Italy. And you divide this paragraph into two halves, one half for 2000 and the other half for 2050. And you do the same thing in Italy, one half for 2000 and the other half for 2050. And then count your words. If you have covered 150 words, then that's it. If not, then you can write an additional closing paragraph. Please pause the screen, take your time, think carefully, write your own essay, and then compare what you write with the essay that I'm going to show you right now. Okay, let's take a look at the answer here. The following charts provide data regarding the age demographics. We're using the word demographics to indicate, demographics means information about the population of Yemen and Italy's populations classified into three categories: 0 to 14, 15 to 59, and those who are 60 or above. This information was not written in the question, but I decided to add this information. Why? Because it will make it easier for me to refer to these ages in the body paragraphs. And instead of repeating this part, 0 to 14, 15 to 59, and those who are 60 or above, now I can refer to this as the youngest age category, the middle category, and the highest category. So youngest, middle, highest. So this way I have two alternatives. The first alternative is to use the numbers, and the second alternative is to use the youngest or the first, the middle or the second, and the oldest or the third category. So I'm giving myself a chance to paraphrase, to use synonyms. On the left side, the pie chart displays data from 2000, that's the left side, while the right side shows projected figures for 2050, that's the right side. Overall, it's expected, we're using verbs that mean predict, that in both countries, albeit with varying degrees, the aging population will increase. The aging population, that's the third one. While the youngest age group, that's the first one, will decrease. So the aging population in the two cases will increase. Here in Yemen, it's increasing from 3.6 to 5.7. And in Italy, it's also increasing from 24.1 to 42.3. That's the aging population, 60 and above. And the youngest age group will decrease. Here, the youngest age group from 50.1 to 37, and from 14.3 to 11. So in the two countries, it's the same. The aging population is increasing and the youngest population is decreasing. And the middle age category, that's why we wrote the three categories in the introduction, because now I can simply use the middle age category. Will comprise the highest percentage. Here, it's the highest percentage in 2050, 57.3. And here is also the highest percentage, 46.2, higher than the other two percentages. That's our overall paragraph. Okay. In 2000, slightly over half of Yemeni people, over half of them, 50.1, were in the youngest age group. A little less than half were aged between 15 and 59, less than half, 46.3. With the remaining 3.6% of the population in the highest category. Now I can say highest category because I talked about the categories in the introduction. The highest category is 60 or above. However, it's projected that in 2050, the percentage of the population aged below 14 years will decline to only 37% here, while the other two groups will increase to 57% for the middle group and 5.7% for the oldest. I can use the word oldest. Italy will follow a similar trend. The youngest category will decline from 14.3 to 11.5, while the number of elderly people will nearly double from 24.1 to 42. I said nearly double, not exactly double. However, unlike Yemen, the 15 to 59 category is predicted to decrease from nearly 2/3 to less than half of the total population. That's it. Okay, this is gonna be your homework. You're supposed to write about that. The graph below gives information about the percentage of the population in 4 Asian countries living in cities from 1970 to 2020 with predictions for 2030 and 2040. So one part is about the past all the way to the present, and one part is about the present and predictions for the future. Here we have a line graph, but no problems because in today's lesson, we mainly talked about expressing predictions for the future. You can use the same language. It's predicted, it's forecasted, it's set, and so on. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope this was a useful video. And that's it. Assalamu alaikum.